ask you all a question. What if I told you that relapse wasn't actually the problem? Matter of fact, what if I told you the relapse was simply the evidence that something else had already been happening underneath the surface for weeks, maybe months, maybe even years? Because nobody wakes up one morning and randomly destroys their lives. Nobody wakes up and says, you know what? Let me throw away my marriage today. Let me throw away my sobriety. Let me throw away my future. No, 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 folks. Something happened first. A thought happened, an emotion happened, an injury happened, a wound got touched, a lie got believed, a burden became too heavy. And somewhere along the way, the person stopped reaching out, stopped talking, stopped being honest, stopped processing, stopped healing. And eventually, they picked up again. Now listen up. Please, please listen up, folks. If you're listening today, right now, this very moment, and you've relapsed, please hear me clearly. This episode is not for shaming you. It's not. It's not for condemning. And it's definitely not beating you up. Trust me. Trust me. Addiction has already done enough of that. This episode is about understanding what happened so it doesn't happen again. So like always, folks, welcome back to True Healing and Recovery with your boy, Coach Mike, where chains break, minds wake, and purpose takes its rightful place. I'm always so glad that you guys have hung around and just you're here with me, just having a conversation. I'm glad that you're here because somebody listening today is one decision away from giving up. And somebody else listening is one decision away from getting their life back. Gotta understand that, man. So, let me have my coffee. Let's talk about that this morning. Let's talk about that. No, actually, how can I word this? Let's talk about that morning. The morning after relapse, folks. Let's go back there just for a few. Now, I don't want to talk about the relapse itself. I want to talk about the morning after. Because that's where the real battle begins. You wake up. The guilt is there. The disappointment is there. That self-hatred is there. And suddenly the mind starts talking. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Anybody? The mind starts to tell you, look at you. Yo, you're never going to change. Yo, everybody was right about you. You blew it, Mike. You blew it. Yo, you ruined everything. Can we be honest? I'm going to be honest. That's what I heard. Many people don't relapse because they're weak, folks. Many people stay relapsing because they believe those lies. Listen, imagine a person, man, woman, imagine somebody. 15 months in, 18 months sober, right? Doing what they got to do. They're working. rebuilding relationships, right? They're getting healthy. They're showing up for their kids. And then one night, one bad decision, one use. And suddenly, right, the thought process, the thief, the enemy starts to convince them that 18 months of sobriety no longer count. It no longer matters. How crazy is that? One mistake suddenly erases 548 days of growth? No, hell no. That's nonsense. That's foolishness. That's foolery. The healing happened, right? The growth happened. The wisdom was happening. The maturity was taking place, right? The transformation was happening. One bad day doesn't erase an entire season. Listen, write this down, folks. Write this down. A setback is an event. Failure is a decision. They're not the same thing. They're not. Now, here's where we get uncomfortable. Here's where we get uncomfortable, right? Because the substance wasn't the beginning. The substance wasn't the beginning, folks. The substance was the ending. The relapse started earlier, much earlier. How? What are you talking about, coach? Well, maybe you stopped taking care of yourself. Stop going to the gym, things got busy, you just stopped. Maybe you stopped getting the required rest that your body needs. You're not getting as much sleep as you should. Maybe you stopped praying. Maybe you stopped attending meetings. Maybe you stopped answering phone calls from people that care. Maybe you started entertaining thoughts that you should have challenged. Maybe resentment started to grow. Maybe loneliness started growing. Maybe grief. And all of those things were just building pressure. Building pressure, folks. See, neuroscience tells us what? When emotional stress increase, the brain naturally seeks relief. Not healing, it seeks relief. And relief is dangerous. Relief is extremely dangerous because look, healing says, let's work through this. Relief says, let's escape this. Huge difference, folks. One produces growth. The other produces temporary comfort. I share this with folks all the time. We were not addicted to the substance. We were addicted to the relief that the substance brought. The addiction was never your biggest problem. The inability to sit with discomfort was. And if that statement makes somebody angry, good. Because healing begins when honesty enters the room, and it just did. Come on, let's have a real conversation. Let's have a real conversation. How many relapses would have been prevented if somebody would have simply told the truth. Think about it. Think about it. Yo, I'm struggling. I'm angry right now. I'm just overwhelmed. I'm exhausted. Yo, I'm thinking about using, coach. I'm thinking about using. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. Four words. I'm thinking about using. Why? Why do people not say this? Because shame says, man, if people knew or if they know that you're struggling, guess what? They're going to reject you. And guess what? Shame is a liar. Somebody listening right now, you've been carrying something alone. You haven't told anybody. You smile, you post motivational quotes, right? You show up, you act okay. But internally, you're drowning. And I'm telling you right now, the strongest thing that you can do is ask for help. Not because you're weak, but because you're wise. Lived experience. I'm talking about lived experience, folks. This is what happened in my life. Now, let's stir the pot a little bit. Can we stir the pot? You guys mind? Some people might like this. Some people might not like this. And it's okay. The comment section might go off. But it's okay because we're going there. We're going there. Let's talk about recovery versus healing. Recovery versus healing. When folks hear me use the word healing, they quickly they jump into this thing about this faith-based teacher. We're not talking about faith. So listen up. I want to talk about recovery versus healing. Recovery teaches you how not to use. Healing teaches you how to live. Recovery teaches abstinence. Healing teaches identity. Recovery teaches accountability. Healing teaches transformation. Recovery teaches boundaries. Healing teaches freedom. And guess what? Here's the truth. Both matter. But one without the other creates problems. Please try to understand what I'm telling you, folks. Because some people quit using, but they never quit hating themselves. Some people quit using, but they never quit being angry. Some people quit using, but they never quit being emotionally unavailable. Some people quit using, but never learn how to process pain. And eventually pain starts sounding louder than purpose. So what to do after relapse? Yo, coach, what do you do after relapse? Simple. Tell somebody. Tell somebody immediately. Not tomorrow, not next week, but today, the now. And then ask, yo, what happened? What happened? Not what did I use, but what was I feeling? What was I avoiding? What wound got triggered? What lie did I believe? What did I need relief from? Because healing begins there. Please, let me have some coffee. Hear me out, guys. Please listen carefully. You may have relapsed, but guess what? You're not disqualified. You may have stumbled. Guess what? You're not finished. You may have fallen, but you're not defeated. Get up. Get up. Call somebody. Ask for help. Reconnect. Refocus. Because your story isn't over. And one mistake doesn't get the final chapter. It doesn't. You do. You do. And listen, because our next episode, you got to dive into part 2. We're going even deeper, folks. Because relapse isn't always about substances. Sometimes the relapse is about old thinking, old identities, old excuses, old fears. And that's where, you guys know I'm a certified recovery coach. I'm a certified master life coach. See, this is where the master life coach conversation begins. Relapse isn't about just drugs, man. It's about life. And can I say something controversial? Can I? I like being controversial. Some people have never touched a drug and they're still relapsing every day. Oh, Mike, what are you talking about? They relapse into anger. They relapse into being a victim, victimhood. They relapse into procrastination, relapse into fear and excuses and self-doubt. Because relapse isn't always chemical. Sometimes relapse is emotional, psychological, and spiritual. Listen to me. Listen to me. Clip this, write this down. Whatever you want to do, but don't forget this. The greatest relapse that you'll ever face is becoming the person you fought so hard to leave behind. That's the battle. Not the alcohol, not the drugs, not gambling, not pornography, not food, not social media. You. The old version of you. Who are you when nobody's watching? Who are you when life gets hard? Who are you when disappointment shows up? Who are you when the relationship ends? Who are you when money gets tight? Who are you when fear starts talking? See, that's where transformation gets tested. Now, before anybody gets upset, might be too late for that, but before anybody gets upset, being wounded is real. Trauma is real. Abuse is real. Pain is real. But healing requires a decision. And that decision sounds like, I refuse to let what happened to me determine who I become. I refuse to let what happened to me determine who I become. So, the life you want is available. The healing you want is possible. The freedom that you want is real. But you'll have to become somebody different. You'll have to think different, choose different, respond different, grow different. Because your future cannot fit inside the mindset that created your past. And don't forget, this is True Healing and Recovery with Coach Mike, where chains break, minds wake, and purpose takes its rightful place, folks. And remember, another day is another blessing. Peace.